50 years to learn the Kamehameha wave.
I need to touch on something I call super simps, right? Oftentimes when people have these conversations about masculine and feminine and dominant and submissive, something to understand is this. Just because of your mindset or your resources or your social status, that doesn't automatically make you masculine. That doesn't automatically make you manly. You could be strong. You could be the best fighter in the world. You could be a killer, shoot niggas up. You could be a judge who works in the courtyard, you know what I mean, who works in the courthouse. But you coon, you know what I mean? You throw your own people under the bus. You could be a politician, you know, who's a coon, you know what I mean? You can be, a strong person who is a simp, you know what I mean? You can be an attractive guy who's real feminine and lets women run you. You know what I mean? You could be an attractive guy who has to pay for pussy. Like a lot of these incels, not all of these incels are ugly neckbeards, right? When you're trying to take shots at people based off of how they look to say what's the issue with them, not all the times, but sometimes it's a matter of those looks have nothing to do with the energy that they have. You get what I'm saying? Now, those looks may encourage the experiences that they may have that may put them into a spot and a place in life to where they're more inclined towards having a particular perspective. But that does not mean that they're naturally just automatically going to be a masculine man, right? And you can be dominant without being masculine. So that's something to understand too. If you don't have emotional discipline, you aren't masculine. You can be dominant. You can be dominant and still not be masculine. You get what I'm saying? So something to understand. And you can be masculine without being dominant. You know, that's why I say masculine and dominance, right? Now, I do typically group those together, like alpha, masculine, dominant. Like I usually group those together as interchangeable terms, but they're not completely the same, but they're close enough, you know, when I talk about them. Just like I put beta, feminine, and submissive kind of all in the same thing. But when I break them down individually, I break up parts to where they wouldn't all fit together. But let's say this right here. So let's say a woman, right? She's poking a bear. She's trying to fight her man, or she's being disrespectful to him. And she has a friend who's not telling her, hey, you don't respect that man, leave him alone. Or, hey, don't talk to that man like that. Hey, don't be poking a bear. Don't put yourself in a position to where something might happen to you, right? And then she don't listen. He's not even telling her that. All he's doing is boosting her head up, saying that she's right about everything. And then when she crosses the line and that dude puts his hands on her, now she can call that super simp to come beat that dude up. And he might get shot or killed in the process, or one of them might die or go to jail in the process over a woman who don't know how to listen to nobody, right? Or you might be in a situation where a woman will lie on somebody, right? And if a man doesn't understand being in control in a relationship, if a man doesn't understand, dom-sub dynamics, if a man doesn't understand how relationships can work for a man who's in a dominant position, then if a woman switches up and then tries to play the victim after the fact, a super simp is somebody who is in a position of power who will fall for it. So like, let's say a woman has an uncle. She ain't shit. Her uncle may work for the police department. So what'll happen is she will put herself in some fucked up situations playing games with dudes. And then if a dude is about to call her out on her shit, then she'll call the police and try to get the dude set up. Or she'll call her little Pookie and Ray Ray, like little cousins and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because just because you a hood nigga don't mean you a street nigga. And just because you a street nigga doesn't necessarily mean that you're masculine, and it also doesn't mean that you're feminine either. Some dudes are in the street because that's the environment that they're in, and they're trying to bring some type of structure to their environment, and they just know that they can't necessarily do it by taking a socially acceptable stance, right? So sometimes you gotta, take a little steps outside of the box, right? Like, just like I say about toxic masculinity, there's a spectrum. There's moral, amoral, there's immoral. You know what I mean? And sometimes, as a man, where you're in an environment that's hyper feminized, you got to go a little bit over the top, or you're in an environment that is hyper, that it has a lot of victim mentalities. It has a lot of feminist ideologies. It's very gynocentric, matriarchal. Sometimes you got to be in your masculinity, and you got to overstep some bounds that are natural to your masculinity that other people just aren't used to, and they'll consider it toxic because of that. So, that's just some shit that can go down. But one thing to understand about super simps is this. I call them Oozarus, right? I'm a Dragon Ball Z fan. I'm a Dragon Ball fan. I'm a Blurred, right? Oozarus, right? Those are big ass flying monkeys, right? Big ass flying monkeys. And what is a flying monkey? That is someone who is manipulated by a narcissist to believe their narrative of being a victim. A lot of these women out here are narcissistic. A lot of these women out here like to start shit and play the victim. A lot of these women out here don't listen to nobody, and they put themselves in positions with men who they know are too emotional to deal with them and their bullshit. They deal with men who are too emotional to walk away, yet that is still a man at the end of the day. He still has a man's body, a man's physique. He still has man's testosterone and man's aggression. And when she cheats on that man, or she talks back to that man, or she is poking the bear at this man or trying to talk down to him, you know what's going to happen? He is going to beat her ass. He's going to abuse her, right? Or she sticks around with a man who she knows she don't want to get with his program, and then now she feels like she's being emotionally manipulated. You think you just going to stay with him if he tell you that he's not on that shit, and that, you know, you're not going to feel like you're getting bent and bended and molded into what you're supposed to be for him? If you agree to be there and you're not speaking up for yourself and saying that, okay, I can't get with this, and then walk the fuck away. Listen, what I say is this: if you are dealing with a party who is masculine, you either get with it, or you go the fuck away. Real shit. Because sticking around in situations where you aren't at least trying to grow and learn to get with it is going to be damaging to yourself, because their strength, their masculinity, their dominance, right? You know, and I'm going to say their dominance, if they're dominant and you're just nice, then you're going to feel hurt. You're going to eventually be broken, right? Or you're eventually going to try to stand up for yourself, and you're going to stand up for yourself at the wrong time and in the wrong way. And then you might get hurt or abused or get your ass beat. And what an Oozaru is the type of man who will listen to whatever a woman says because she's beautiful. There are some big, strong, powerful ass simps out here who will believe any fucking thing a woman says. They're socially programmed, and they think that their job in life, their mission in life, is to get money to provide for women. They think their job in life, their mission in life, is to get strong to protect women. They think that their job in life, their mission in life, is to get social status to get sexual access to women, right? Now, the thing to understand about it is this: all those things are important. All those things are things you should have and should be able to have when you're in a relationship with a woman. But you have to know how to vet a woman. Like, assuming that just because you're you, that a woman's automatically going to give your program, and that you could just jump into a relationship with her, and that nothing bad's going to happen, that there's no need for you to vet that woman, is setting yourself up to have to beat her ass, right? Because you're too invested to walk away. That woman may be in your house. She may be in your space. You know, that woman may be dealing with you. She may give you an STD. You may give her one. Another thing, a lot of these super simps are guys who are like Derek Jackson. You know what I mean? Guys who, you know, they take this perspective of trying to champion for women, right? And they're attractive and desirable to women, so the women will listen to what they have to say. And the women still desire them because their attraction level is high enough. But these men don't have the character to stand on strong, firm principles that are realistic to who they are and how they operate. They repress their masculinity when it comes to their mindset to dealing with women, and then they act in a duplicitous way outside of that, right? You know, so that could be a man who will pretend that he's all about family, and he's all about love, and he's all about compromise, and he's all about communication, or he's just all about putting women on a pedestal as goddesses, right? But this same dude is going to cheat on women. He's going to abuse women. He's going to manipulate them. He's going to take advantage of them, right? Behind closed doors. But in the public eye, he wants to be gentrified. He wants to gentrify his masculinity to fit what is acceptable for the mainstream public for commercial purposes, right? He wants to attract a woman with, yes, his attractiveness, and that's good, but he also wants to pull a woman in with his femininity instead of his masculinity. He wants to make a woman feel comfortable with him instead of that woman feeling receptive to his masculine energy. Instead of that woman feeling receptive to her sexual desire for him, he wants to spend his money and take her out on a bunch of dates and not push for anything that he wants, and just let her decide whatever she wants to do on her own time. And if he gets tired of it, now he putting pressure on her. right? Or he just gonna, make a woman feel real good, take her out on some dates. You know what I mean? Another version of a super simp is often side niggas in marriages. Not all the time, right? Think about, dirty Macs. If you're a dirty Mac and you're an attractive one or you got some money, I think about like Joe and that song, Baby, I Want to Do All the Things your man won't do, right? Like, what you got to think about is this. One, that man's not going to be consistent with those things that he's doing if it's anything outside of sex. Two, he's probably not going to be fully consistent with the things he's doing sexually. Three, why does he want to put himself in somebody else's relationship? You get what I'm saying? Like, to me, my take on cheating is this. I don't believe in cheating unless I had it first, to a certain extent, right? If it looks like it's a cool little situation going on, I ain't really trying to fuck with that. You know what I mean? And I believe, if, like, let's say you have a wife, some shit go down, maybe your game was weak at the time, you can snatch that woman back. You know what I mean? Let's say you hurt your girl feelings or something like that, and she just has to walk away she feels like she has to walk away, but she really was her social programming pop-up. Man, sometimes you got to snatch that woman back. You feel me? You drop that dick on her and you go ahead and get back in there. But for the most part, you got to know how to walk away when it's time to walk away. You get what I'm saying? You got to know how to let a woman go when it's time to let a woman go. It's just a matter of, there are some super simps out here. These are guys who have looks, money, status. They have strength. They may have fighting skills. They may have shooting skills, but they are a simp. Oftentimes a super simp may be like a girl's father. A girl's father may be a super simp. You know what I mean? Because he may seem masculine. He may seem dominant in his appearance, but he's very emotional and puts women on a certain pedestal to where he allows them to take advantage of him. And he is going to teach his daughter how to take advantage of men. And he's going to teach his daughter to to deal with the man who is weak so she can be safe, or to deal with a man who's just going to take care of her and not focus on looks. Or he's going to teach his daughter, to be sexually duplicitous through him not being okay or comfortable with her being a sexual being, even though that's an aspect of human nature. So by taking this perspective, he's pushing his daughter to be in a position to where she's not going to be able to have masculine dominant leadership with someone who she's sexually attracted to. She's either going to have just dick, because that's going against what her father taught her is right. So it's going to be only sex, right? Or she's going to have a man who is head over heels over her and doesn't vet her. And then now her own sex life, her own relationships, her own romantic life is going to be sabotaged by the fact that her own father doesn't have game, by the fact that her own father doesn't understand women. He doesn't understand dom sub dynamics and masculine feminine dynamics. So we got to understand what a super simp is. This is Oozaru's, the super simps. Let's see, is there anything else for me to talk about? Yeah, a lot of hood niggas are like that too. Like, how many murders go on in the streets every year because of toxic femininity, right? So, a super simp is someone who can be manipulated by toxic femininity. That's the assumed perception of innocence when it comes to... And another aspect of Oozarus is gigolos. Real shit. Certain gigolos, not all. Because, there are some men who they will be the helping hand that helps keep a relationship together. Honestly, real shit. That's something that can't happen. Sometimes, an affair is something that saves a marriage. So I'm not going to sit here and act like it can never happen. But what I'll say is this. If you're so led with your dick and you're not worried about having no program, you're not worried about being in a position of respect with a woman, and all you worried about is getting your dick wet, and you put women on a pedestal, right? You put women on a pedestal to where your life goal is to fuck these women, and you don't care if she in a relationship, you don't care if she married, you don't care if it's gonna mess up her family. All you care about is getting your dick wet, and you'll fight her man to get it. You get what I'm saying? or you're in a position where you'll spend all your money trying to impress another man's woman, or you will try to go out of your way to seduce another man's woman. Yeah, you might have the looks. Yeah, you may have the money. Yeah, you may have the status. Yeah, you may even have the game, but you have no character. And you are one of the people who is an issue with society. You are one of the people who is an issue with how things work out here. I believe in using your masculine and your dominance, using your sexuality, your game, your good dick and your guidance. Not just good dick and guidance. Once you busting a woman down a certain level, if she's emotionally open to you in any capacity, you're going to have a certain level of influence on her, right? And are you going to use that influence to help her be a better woman? And somebody, people gonna say this simping. I'm like, no, I believe in leaving everybody better than you found them. If you are masculine and you're dominant, you are in a position, or let's say you're dominant, right? And a woman's dealing with you. You are in a position of influence. What are you teaching her that's going to help improve her life, right? What direction are you guiding her in? Are you just guiding her in the direction of being somebody who is going to disrespect her husband, to throw her family away, to throw her life down the drain just so you can get your nut off? I can't respect that in a man. I ain't even just talking about the woman, I'm talking about the man. Because sometimes these dudes is, if a woman's dealing with one simp, she got other simps around, right? So if she dealing with one man, she in a relationship with him, he ain't dominant, but he tries to be a little masculine. He tries to be there for her. He tries to, he tries to guide her, lead her. He tries to be in a relationship with her. Nigga may just not have the stroke game like that. Not everybody's going to be slanging like that, you know what I mean? So the thing to understand about this is this, if you're trying to go out there and overstimulate other people's women, right? Another form of an Oozaru, sometimes, not all the time. I'm talking about different levels of men using their masculinity in a way that is harmful, right? So let's say that you put yourself in a position where every time you meet a woman, you are trying to give her the A-game dick right away, right? So you don't have to work up to it. She don't have to do nothing for it. You oversaturating the market with dick. Listen, I can fuck the shit out these bitches. I have, right? But at the same time, I know that there's a certain backlash that comes when a woman has a 10 level of sexual attraction for you and you knock her ass off. Now she acting crazy. Because you are love bombing. When you are dominant and strong, you know what I mean? If you're attractive, if you're sexually appealing, you know what I mean? If you got looks, money, and status and all that shit, and you're love bombing women with the idea of what they can have without any true intentions of giving that to them and guiding them and giving them any type of leadership, and you just putting that all on women, then you are part of the problem in society. You're part of the problem in society because you're overstimulating women. It's overstimulating. To me, I think about that. You know what I mean? I think about that when I'm dealing with a woman. I'm like, you know what, child? I don't know where her mental health level is at right now. She's new. She did nothing to deserve getting this high level of dick. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to I'm going to break her off a little bit. I'm going to give her like the C level, B minus, maybe B. And I'm only going to really give up the higher levels of dick, maybe A minus or something like that. If it's like a woman who's from out of town and I want to make sure she have a good time, you know what I mean? Maybe she done traveled a good distance. We're not going to be able to see each other that often. You know what I mean? That woman already comes into the situation knowing it's never going to be in anything. You know what I mean? But when you taking a woman and you're dealing with a woman and she is not trained and accustomed to separating sex from emotions, and you just fuck the shit out of her with no intentions of teaching her anything that's going to improve the quality of her life, then you are a menace to society. That's just some real shit. I'm just keep it honest with you right here. You are part of the reason why women are afraid of masculine dominant men, right? And the thing is this, and this is the truth. This is the truth of the matter. All men, we are going to be competing with other men on a basis of good dick and guidance. We're going to be competing with other men on a basis of our sexual desirability, our sexual skill, our masculinity, and our ability to influence that woman, regardless of how good a person's character is. So if I know I don't have the time or the intentions of teaching this woman shit because she hasn't shown me that I like her personality around me, if I know she's not receptive to me, I'm not going to be trying to prove something to her by trying to stigmatize her and fuck the shit out of her and get her and her feelings to be petty like that. Now, I've done it before. Let's let that hurt go dick. But what does that come from? That comes from being feminine and dominant. I had to learn that shit the hard way, right? Because a lot of us in this space, nobody's fucking perfect. Some of us, we've had times where we slipped up. And one way I used to slip up was this. A woman wouldn't text me back. Next time I seen her, I'd fuck the dog shit out of her. Hours. Toys, head, fingers, all that, right? She don't deserve none of that shit. Next thing you know, this woman damn near scared of you. and she acting drunk around you and shit like that. She feeling some type of way, right? But I'll say another aspect of Oozaru's is this: if you are a man in any position of power, right, and your goal and your job is to be gentrified, your goal and your job is to appear on the surface to be a nice guy, right, for commercial purposes, and anytime something comes out saying that a man did something wrong, that your mindset and your ideology and your goal is to say, yeah, that man is wrong, and to jump on crucifying other men, right? You are in Oozaru, especially if you can have the power to do anything about it, right? That's like the times where I think about Emmett Till, right? Think about Emmett Till. What happened with him? The woman said he whistled at her. When the woman said that he whistled at her, the other men got so enraged because they didn't understand female sexual nature, that she would desire him. She probably did want to fuck him, which is probably why she said something. But they got so enraged by the idea of this woman fucking off, right? That wasn't even their own, that they lynched this nigga, right? A mob mentality is full of a lot of, flying monkeys, right? A lot of flying monkeys. Those are men who don't mind saying some shit, who don't mind flying to the rescue of a woman, regardless of if she's right or wrong. It could be a narcissistic woman. They have no discernment because they don't understand toxic femininity. They don't understand female nature. All they know is, well, this woman is soft and I'm strong, and she's going to be soft with me because I'm strong. And these same dudes be a lot of the same ones who spend years and years of their lives being players. You know what I mean? But to the surface, they don't try to look that way to the surface, but that's what they're doing behind the scenes. And these are the players that give players a bad name because they lie to women to do it. They have no discipline. They can't control themselves. So they gotta fuck everything. It's their homie girl, they gonna fuck their homie girl, they gonna fuck their homie wife, they gonna fuck this girl that they working with. Like these people up in Hollywood, right? The same people up in Hollywood who get caught up in this Me Too shit, a lot of the times are some of the same people in Hollywood who use their success and their places of power to try to get women to have sex with them, because that's the reason that they did it. So they look at men like, well, you got to do these things to get the woman. You got to, lie to her and make her feel comfortable. And you got to not be upfront about your sexual intentions, because that's not acceptable. That's disrespectful. And these same dudes who say it's disrespectful to be upfront about your sexual intentions are the same men who will cuff a woman just so he can fuck and then dip on her. It's the same men who will have a woman who's good to him and then get bored with her because he's feminine, right? He needs a woman who's going to tell him what to do, a solid structure. These are the same type of men who will be the big buff football playing big cousins of some girl or some shit like that and try to come fight you, right? If you break up, you call her a bitch or some shit like that, right? It's the same type of dudes who will be ready to fly off at the handle to protect any woman in any situation just because she's a woman, regardless of if she's right or wrong, right? And these same ones are going to boost her head up. They're going to, this is the thing to understand about these Oozarus. A woman is never wrong. Just like they say the customer is always right. To the Oozarus, the woman is never wrong. And I'm not saying that men should not be accountable for their own decisions. But what I'm saying is that if you do not know the context of a situation, you haven't researched it, you haven't studied it for yourself, and you are quick to throw other men under the bus, especially if you have power or any type of influence to do it, then you, my sir, are a simp, a coon, you are an Oozaru, right? It's different things that be going on in these situations. That's a problem, right? There's different things that are going on in these situations. That's a problem. Another thing is, man may try to become a police officer, right? But he's real feminine, emotional, can't control his hate and his biases, right? So, he's going to beat up on black men in the street, right? Just because somebody has power or the ability to fight or the ability to kill or money or social status does not make them a masculine man. That's why this looks money status stuff is like, it's true. You do want to have all these things for yourself, but you want to have character as well, right? And you also want to make sure you have sexual skills, right? And, as a man, if you're a masculine dominant man, I know we all want to say we're just competing with ourselves, but the truth is everybody's competing with somebody. Your competition is going to be one of those men, right?
Now, what you got to understand is this. You still have to make sure that you're sexually desirable, right? You still have to make sure that you have leadership skills, that you are influential. Just make sure that you have good character. Make sure that you understand that women be lying sometimes. Make sure that you understand that you need to think about things logically and not allow women to put you in a position where you feel pressured by them to conform to what society says. And when you feel that pressure to conform to what society says, and you are just successful in doing that, that doesn't mean that what society told you was right. I'm gonna repeat. When you feel that pressure to conform to what society says, just because you were successful in that does not mean, right? It does not mean that what society told you was right. So this is just the Oozaru video. It's Brody Dharma. I'm out.